Well, for PowerPoint, or do they have it? Oh, okay, gotcha.
Well, I don't need it then.
Excellent.
Wow, crazy. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Pretty much it, you know. I mean, I saw a couple people who were just behaving like infants, you know, and they don't understand what the process is. Like, you know what? You didn't lose. You kind of won a lot more than if you hadn't done anything. international music tent.
Good morning, everyone.
I suppose the ukulele qualifies her for that.
Good morning. Give us just a minute because we're trying to grab a few chairs here. We got a full house today.
Ooh.
And I see a lot of people I haven't seen before. Who hasn't been to a 1 million cups before? Where are you people coming from? Seriously, how'd you guys find out about us?
There's a sign by the road.
Oh, really? Is that it? Who put the sign out today? That's cool. I'm really glad. Catch up with me afterwards. I'd like to find out how you found out. Or I know some people brought some folks. So that's great. Real quick announcement before we get into the normal patter. We are going to try to get out of here 10 minutes early today because they're going to be setting up for Rock Camp. So once I say it's time for us to go, I need everybody to get out today. And then you guys can do all the networking and all the chatter and everything else out in the lobby. And then we're going to be trying to break down all the cameras and everything as quickly as possible so we can get the kids in here to do their Rock Camp. Okay. There's tons of places to sit out there. Yep. So definitely go out there and chat and hang out. Yeah, we had a few seats up front. And people still coming in. This is great. All right, so if you haven't been to a 1 million cups before, this is what it is. This is a networking education event for entrepreneurs that was put together originally by the Kauffman Foundation out of Kansas City. What we do is we get together every week to talk for about an hour. We have one local entrepreneur, get up and talk about their business. They get up and talk for 6 minutes. We try to get their speech into a 6-minute block. And then we spend about 20 minutes or so asking them questions, helping them out with challenges that they have with their business. So their speech is less about having a pitch about how great they are and why you should buy their product as much as it is for them to talk about their journey and how they got there, and then for us to help them out with any of the problems that they have, because a lot of us have been through the same sort of problems and challenges and issues that they have. After that first half hour, we will then do a little bit of time where we do a community question. We'll put a question up on the screen, and then we discuss it just as a group, kind of workshop it or talk about it, and just depends on what the question is of the day about how it goes. So. We are presented by the Regional Partnership in Start Fort Wayne. We got together last year during the summer to talk about different ways that we could bring the entrepreneur community in Fort Wayne and Northeast Indiana together. A lot of it is just getting people in the same room and getting them to talk to one another and getting to learn who everybody is. And that's what's great about this event is it's not a traditional networking event where we're all just standing around handing out business cards. We're really trying to build a community culture about learning from one another. So instead of just pitching yourself, you actually try to help people around you. And we started this up, Bernadette asked us earlier, we started this up in November, so we've been going more than 6 months now. I think we're probably up in the 30s now as far as how many weeks we've been doing this. We are sponsored by Sweetwater. They give us the space every week. We just walk in the door, set up, and we're ready to go. Everything's already pretty much done for us, which is awesome. The coffee you were drinking, if you got coffee out front there, is from Utopian Coffee, which is a local coffee roaster who was also, coincidentally, our first speaker here. And then if you've noticed, we have cameras set up. This is a new addition for people who haven't been here before. That is our, we still pay homage to our Periscope audience there with our with our iPhone. That was how that's how we filmed the first 30 or so weeks. But in the past week or so, we've upped our game here with Never Ends Productions doing their 3-camera shoot. And this is all being streamed live to YouTube. So watch the F-bombs. And is this the wrong? I know this is the wrong presenter, but is this the wrong? We have the wrong presentation queued up.
Excellent.
One moment.
Excellent.
This is last week's speaker, which was great. And now we get editing software. One moment while we work on that. So while we're waiting on that, for folks who are here that are new, what we also ask is that everybody, obviously people are inviting other entrepreneurs to come to this event every week. We want to bring other entrepreneurs in so they can see it, but most importantly, we want other entrepreneurs and other business owners to come in and speak. We have to fill about 50 slots a year. We usually take 2 weeks off around the holidays, but otherwise we have to have a new speaker every single week. Other communities sometimes bring speakers back, and we may start doing that near the end of the year. But we'd really like to, as a personal challenge for me, I'd really like for us to be able to do 50 weeks in Northeast Indiana with completely different speakers every week. So if you own a business or you know somebody who owns a business who you think would be good to have come up here and speak for 6 minutes and maybe get some help with some of the challenges, we'll have the URL up later, but it's 1millioncups.com/Fort Wayne. You can go up there, you can apply. And then it's not just filling out an application and then you come up and speak. We ask that they come to one of these events so they can see how it goes and they can understand how the format works and understand that it's not just a sales pitch to us. But then also we've started in the past few weeks, we've started doing more coaching. So we do a pre-coaching session a week or two ahead of your presentation where we'll sit down with you, try to understand your business story, figure out how to best put that into 6 minutes, get that all pulled together for you so that you're ready for not only to give the presentation, but so you're ready for the Q&A. And there's certain tricks and tips we can give you so that you can make sure that the Q&A is something you can actually answer and you don't have people screaming at you or asking you questions you'll never be able to answer. And then afterwards, we also do a post-coaching session. So for Morrison, as soon as we're all moved out of this room, the organizers are all going to go meet outside in the cafeteria area, and we'll sit down with him and set up a little post-coaching session where we go through and talk about how the presentation went, but also how he can apply some of the answers that he got from you guys. And look, that fast. Hey. See? Was that good vamping or was that good vamping? All right. Let me give the mic over here to Steve.
We were kind of waiting for you to do a little tap dancing, too, though.
So, tapping away.
Okay. So I have one question for you before we introduce Morrison. Look at that headshot. Who do you think did that headshot? Come on. Nobody was here before to watch the presentation by Tim Anderson? It's been a while, but I think there might be a family relationship in there someplace. Right. And, so I drew that out for the headshot because specifically I knew that there was a connection to 1 million cups there, twofold. The other connection I have is how many people have been to Neat? Let's see some hands. How many people have bought things there? We got some brand new customers for you here then, Morrison.
Excellent.
You see that?
Fantastic.
See that? I think what I liked most about that was one record store day when I found a unique piece of vinyl by some great rarities from Jaco Pastorius.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of years ago, I think.
Yeah.
That I used as a Christmas present for a good friend of mine who really was into Jaco. So with all of that, let's hear about Neat. Come on, Morrison. Great. Tell us about it.
Thanks, friends. Oh, so I don't need that.
All right.
I will need this. Do I just hit that button? Yep. Okay, great. My name is Morrison Agen. I own Neat Records and Music. We're located at 1836 South Calhoun Street, right next door to Oyster Bar if you go downtown. And just our history, I've been a pro audio professional since 1998. I actually got my start here. In 2006, I noticed that the rise of vinyl as a viable medium was really starting to kick back off in the 90s and getting into the beginning 2000s. There was a huge dearth of vinyl media that was being produced. It was mostly CDs, and actually thank God for DJs because they kind of kept the pressing plants alive during that time. And as DJs started to move more toward computer technology, vinyl medium started to come back more as an audiophile format. Neat had kind of the goal of being a true one-stop shop where people could purchase good high-end playback equipment as well as classic and current LPs. We carry new and used LPs from 65 different vendors, and then used collections we buy all over the state and all over the region. And to start my store, I sold my 3,500-piece sci-fi book collection for seed money. So I was a big sci-fi nerd and still am. A lot of golden age science fiction, and was kind of looking around, rolling the idea around in my head of kind of where to get started, and like, well, I've read all those about 3 or 4 times, and started selling them off on Amazon and to friends, and eventually back to Hyde's because that's where most of them came from. So We opened our doors in 2001 after 2 years of planning and acquiring stock, doing things like taking the seed money that we had, buying collections, selling them off on eBay or wherever else that we could sell them, and then actually learning how to sell, pack, ship, grade records, things like that, just really becoming a professional by doing it. We started the store with $8,000 cash when we had rented the store. That was our first rent check was out of that $8,000, and that's where the rest of our stock and all of our fixtures and everything like that came from. It took us about 6 weeks from getting into the store to opening. We currently have about $300,000 worth of inventory with average sales between in-store and online of about $300,000 a year. And again, we have relationships with 65 vendors around the world. We do lots of imports from different places in the UK and in Greece, as well as working with major labels like Sony and Warner Brothers, and lots of independent labels. So this is where we started. This was our first day that we were open. Everything's clean. There's nothing on the floor. It's kind of weird. These were our initial bins. They were terrible. This is where we're at now. So we've kind of reconfigure our store. We've actually doubled the size of our store. We're about ready to put in another chunk again. There's some other pictures of it. It's kind of our hi-fi lounge there. Vinyl sales over the last few years have kind of grown pretty exponentially over the past few years, from 2010 to 2013. I couldn't get anything more recent with a slide that I was looking for, but we've seen double-digit percentages over the last several years. To put that in perspective, here's where we were. This was the 70s, right? Getting through the 80s, all the way through the 90s, down to 2005, where there's barely a blip, and here we are now, right? The likelihood of us coming back to here, pretty slim, right? We're still a niche market, but we're working really hard. The fact is that with physical media, every format of physical media has dropped, has been dropping for the past 10 years, except for vinyl records. They've been going up double-digit percentages for the past 10. So we've met some cool people along the way. Brett from Mastodon, Bob Pollard from Guided by Voices, probably one of the most influential indie rock artists. Seth Avett from the Avett Brothers has been in our store several times. He's become a good pal. This was Alan, yeah, that's it. Actually, he was here when he was doing Gear Fest and popped over to have dinner at Oyster Bar, and they were closed until 5 o'clock. So he and his wife and handler came over and hung out for a couple hours. So Robert Cray, Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys, Slash. That was kind of a chance meeting. So Record Store Day is a big important part of what we do. It's a global celebration of brick and mortar record stores designed by the leaders of the 3 major coalitions, one of which we are a part of. We are part of the AIMS Coalition. Coalitions are groups of record stores. There's about 35 in ours. We have people like Criminal Records, which is Eric Levin, who was one of the founders of Record Store Day. And the money-making aspect of coalitions is that we sell programs to record labels. So a record label will pay our coalition, say, $1,500 to make sure that we have stock of their CD and that it's on a listing station and people can access it over a certain period of time. The real benefit is really having a brain trust of 35 other different record store owners who are in the same position that you're in, and they fight the same struggles that you fight. That's the reason why I'm part of that coalition. The third Saturday at Record Store Day is the third Saturday in April. Literally hundreds of new releases coming out that day. Most release days are 3 to 4 titles, maybe 10 titles on a busy release day. 400 titles come out on Record Store Day, and you kind of have to stretch throughout that entire realm of titles so that everybody's happy, right? Record Store Day is easily our biggest day of the year. 2006 saw 18,000 or 18.5K for single day sales. We were only up just a little bit over the last year, but before that we had been pretty much doubling every year up to Record Store Day, and it's starting to flatten out just a little bit because people know who we are and where we're at now. These are images from Record Store Days past. We generally get a line down past ABM, if you're familiar with where that's at. Generally 120 to 150 people in line on Record Store Day. We have lots of in-stores, lots of folks throughout the store who are very, very excited about lots of the releases that are coming out that day. this picture up here with a little girl, we were showing her a One Direction 45 that had come out. And that picture went absolutely viral all over the place. I mean, Record Store Day reposted it, and all of the stores were freaking out about that one. That was a great one. Some of the challenges. So last year, the three majors, Universal, Warner Brothers, and Sony, decided to move forward with an initiative to move the U.S. street date from Tuesday to Friday. Australia had one date. The UK and Germany had another date, and then the U.S. had Tuesdays. The reason why Tuesdays are important is because it gives brick and mortar stores a midweek bump, especially for if there's a really heavy title that's out there. And when you, so when a title comes out on a Tuesday and it's really hot that day, you maybe get an inkling in your head that maybe you should order more for the weekend, because our weekends are already busy. That's where we kind of make our bread and butter. That's what pays for the rest of the week. When you move that to Friday, there's really no way to gauge how hot a title is going to be, so you either have to order up or order back, and you're left short. There's also no room for logistical errors, so if UPS decides that they're going to miss you that day on a Friday, you're not going to get that new release until Saturday or until Monday, right? And either the other store or Amazon or whoever, they'll just be like, oh, he doesn't have it that day, I'm just going to go online and order it, and it happens all the time. So moving that to Friday, even if you have a really good day on Friday with the title, like we just had, the new Radiohead record came out, well, we sold 30 copies on Friday. I was out until at least Tuesday, because you know, even if you order Friday afternoon, unless you want to pay for overnight shipping, which there's not enough margin in new LPs to pay for overnight shipping, the best chance you have of getting it is maybe Tuesday, probably Wednesday if it's a 2-day ship from your vendor. So, and for a lot of new titles that come out, by the time Wednesday rolls around, they don't really care anymore. They're moving on to the next piece, right? The time is of the essence with a heavy piece like that. So, so some of the challenges we've had is finding a way to kind of replace that midweek bump, and you know, try to replace that with either, you know, you got to do events, or you have to buy used collections and kind of decide when you're going to market those used collections. Festival season also really kind of puts a huge damper on downtown business. We're feeling it this week with Three Rivers Festival. Most people are either at the festival or they don't want to come downtown because of the festival. And that's been the case, you know, ever since we opened, and we feel it more and more every year. And I've tried to have some conversations with Jack Hammer about that, and we've never really come to a consensus as to what we can do. So, especially when you're having it during Three Rivers Festival, he's got his brain elsewhere. So the general clientele of most brick and mortar stores is 18 to 34. As people age out, you need to replace those customers. Most teens, and I say teens from 13 to 17 or 18, they're primarily streaming customers. They didn't grow up with physical media, so they don't have a relationship with even CDs. So the challenge of moving those customers into physical media, where it's not particularly convenient, but I can also tell you these kids have never listened to 3 songs off the same album in a row in their lives, right? So, you know, how do you talk them into that? And we do that all the time, but it's, you know, it's a challenge. And also, excellent used collections are becoming scarce. In the 90s, holy smokes, man, they were all over the place. You could take a forklift and just pick up collections and throw them in your garage. And now, those really excellent, good classic rock or newer collections, they're starting to become scarce because a lot of people are chasing them down. We still see great collections all the time. We just bought a really nice collection last night. And some of them are from people who they're broke and they need cash. And then other people, a lot of times, are from estates, you know, where somebody passes away and it's like, oh, I've got 2,000 records or whatever. And then we go in and look through those, see if it's something that we want to take, and then we'll make an offer on that. So we have some future plans. So we have 2 spaces in our store, and we have a 3rd space that we've been renting out, and we have plans to turn that into the Hi-Fi Lounge, which would be a beer and wine bar, and we'd also move all of our hi-fi equipment into that. It's going to take some time, it's going to take some effort, and it's going to take some money, but we're chipping away at that to try to make that become a reality, and that will become a full part of the store as well. And then, as you plateau out and as you build your local customer base is kind of where it's at. The other way to make money is start more stores. The funny thing is that when you're in a position where you've been doing it for 5 years, if you were to open another store, people have an expectation for what that store is going to look like because they know what your home store is like. So you can't really start it the same way you started it back then. Chuck, you're probably not going to put a recording studio in a van anytime soon, right? So people have an expectation of what that store looks like. So that next store costs much more to open than the first store did. But we've been looking at places like South Bend because they really don't have anything there. Lafayette is, I feel, an underserved market. Valparaiso and Coldwater, Michigan's an underserved market too, because I like to serve more records and buying my in it, but you can't repair a scratch or a scuff or anything like that. If it's no, vinyl has a very strong physical memory. So once you get it away from being flat, I mean, there are things out there that you can do to maybe help dial that in a little bit, but not really. It's pretty much a toaster from there.
Repair was an area that you could get into.
Audio equipment repair, absolutely. But we do vinyl cleaning and stuff like that. So somebody will bring us 50 records, and I'll charge them $50 or $60 to go through it and clean everything and make sure it's vacuumed properly. But there's no fixing a record. So there you go, sir.
In the used market, are the LPs or the 45s more priceless commodities?
That's a really excellent question. So his question was vinyl LPs versus 45s. 45s are the small ones, for those of you who don't know. There are far more $1,000 45s out there than there are $1,000 LPs, and I've sold both. That being said, people who collect 45s, they're much fewer and far between. They're very, very specific collectors. They're not just buying stuff so that they can throw in a jukebox. They're looking for a really rare Northern Soul 45 or a really rare reggae 45, and they're looking for absolutely perfect near mint, first press. They're looking for ghosts is what they're looking for, and that's why people spend $2,000 on a 45 or $30,000 on a 78. There was one that sold last year for it was something on Paramount. I think it was pressed actually down in Richmond, and I think if I remember right, and I can't remember who the artist was, but it was $34,000 that it sold for a 78. But that being said, so we make more money on LPs because we have more LP customers. Every so often I do get a heavy 45 collector that comes in, like Bob Pollard from Guided by Voices. I can talk about 45s with Bob all day. But you just setting out a bunch of 45s, it's pretty hard sell because most people don't listen to music 2 minutes at a time unless they're streaming it on their phone. So.
Well, follow up. I acquired a collection. When I opened the 45s, the very first one I pulled out was Patsy Cline Crazy. And, I have no understanding of the market. Is that something where we bring down to you and you would?
Sure. I mean, I could look at it. The rule of thumb is if you've heard of it, it's probably not worth anything.
So the obscure titles are better.
Right. If you've heard of it, it's probably not worth it. Like Patsy Cline, how many of those could there possibly be? I mean, there's some records that gain in value because of maybe something cool that happens on the internet. Like if you all saw Dolly Parton, Jolene, and they put the 45 down and turn it down to 33, and Jolene. It sounds really gothy and stuff like that. So now those 45s sell for about $25 a piece, whereas before you could buy a box of them for $25. So because everyone's like, oh, I want the 45s to that, so I could do the same thing that I saw on YouTube. Yeah, like that's a weird thing. Like that doesn't happen all the time, sir.
You sell hi-fi gear as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we sell Project. Yes, new and used. We sell Project, Sumiko, Wharfdale, Ortophone, Denon, Marantz, Onkyo, a couple other things, Lehman Electronic stuff.
What's the purpose of the hi-fi lounge? So you can hear that equipment before you buy it?
Well, yeah, and that's what we do. We have that in our regular store now. It'd just be a place that we can flesh out our hi-fi inventory and have kind kind of a cool place to hang out and sit around a bunch of gear and drink a beer, you know. So, Bill.
You know, it seems like, you know, that aficionado piece there, the hi-fi lounge, with your challenges of, you know, the three majors moving against you, shrinking inventory, and then aging out of your customer base. It seems like to offset your challenges that lounge element, especially with 4-city expansion, you know, on the radar.
Right.
That seems to me to be the really looks like the.
Yeah, I think so
element
too.
here. Yeah, cool.
I think so too. Go ahead.
Local bands like selling their stuff with you.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. We do a lot, and we don't really do consignment. We'll buy stuff, which means that I don't get 30 copies of this guy's CD that's never going to sell. I'm like, I'll buy 3. So, and if I run out, I'll let you know. You had a question.
As you look down the road 5 years, 10 years, and think about sustainability, how do you replenish this younger market, this digital market? Do you train them to appreciate the nostalgia?
I guess that's what I'm going to have to do, isn't it? Like I don't really know. That's kind of the question. This is why it's up there. You know, you know, we just trying to massage that culture and make that continue to happen. You know, we certainly do quite a bit of marketing, and most of our marketing is social media marketing, is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Swarm, things like that. And to try to hit that specific market, I have no idea how to use Snapchat. Maybe I should figure out how to use Pokemon Go, to be quite frank.
Just at some point, my daughter, you know, age 15 or 16, just, you know, saw records in the closet and said those look really cool, and so she listens to them
Right.
now.
Right, yeah. It's funny when young people start to get into records, they listen to their parents' music or sometimes their grandparents' music first before they start realizing, like, oh, yeah, the stuff I like is available on vinyl too, right? I'm going to go buy a Sylvan Esso record or what have you. So you had a question, then you.
Yeah, wondering about independent record companies. People come and look for this kind of record released by independent record companies versus major ones.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we do lots of business with a lot of the indies. Secretly Canadian is based out of Bloomington. I think they have 25 labels to their roster, and we do tons of business with them. And we do a lot of business with labels just one-off, too. Like we do business with Sub Pop. We do business with Matador. We do business with Merge. We do business with, you know, Sub Pop is Nirvana. I'm sorry?
Growing or stable?
Yeah. Are we?
You know, is it growing or stable? That kind of.
Oh yeah, I mean it's as far as the market, the demand has been growing. It's been growing in double-digit percentages for the last 10 years, and you know, so that's still continuing to grow. But there's also, you know, of course, there's the streaming aspect. CDs are way down and have been way down for years now. I mean, we're talking like it takes a 35 or 40% dive every year, right? So and record companies love to sell CDs because they're cheap to make and they're real easy and you get super fast turnaround. With vinyl, it takes forever. My daughter has a record coming out next month. We've been working on it for a year and a half. I turned in the order form to get 500 records made in December. I just got them last week. It takes forever to get vinyl pressed, especially if you're just a one-off guy. If I'm Universal, I can get somebody on the phone and, hey, I need this record out in like 10 days. And if you don't get it out in 10 days, you'll never see another dime of our money. And by the way, you have 50 of our orders on your benches too. So, you know, they do that, and small guys get bumped, and, you know, because there's a lack of record presses out there. I mean, they have, I think, brand new ones have just come on the market last year, and those are the first new presses since 1975. I mean, it's been a lot of times when you start a pressing plant, you're buying a bunch of old machines, you're taking 3 to make 1, right? So, you.
Yes. So you know about how large your customer base is, at least, you know. So you're trying to figure out how do you evangelize younger folks to get into your, like, a sales funnel.
Yeah, because as people grow, they age out, or they have their 1,000 records that they're going to listen to, and they're kind of done, you know.
Yeah, they're kind of done. Yeah. So do you have an idea, like, how many new youngsters, I guess, how many new youngsters you'd have to kind of get in to become customers a year or so that way you can kind of...
That's an excellent question.
So that way you can kind of figure out, okay, what kind of event do I want to make
Right.
If I want to make a little, because I really like if you got 10 great customers,
Right.
but then you know what kind of event to make that would draw those. But it's like I need 50. Well, then you need something larger.
Yeah.
To bring them in.
Right. And you know, that's a great question. I've never put it down into like I need 15 new customers. I mean, of course, I want all the customers, right? I want everybody. Bring them to me. You know, the other thing is I'm 41, and it's hard for me to wrap my head around, like, what's the kind of event that a 17 or 18-year-old kid wants to go to that is going to help market my store and things like that. You know, we've done lots of sponsorships and stuff like that for different shows and things like that, and you know, I think we do our best trying to get our name out there without, you know, especially for a lot of, you know, where we can put our name on, you know, a show that's going on at the Rail or at CS3 or at Phoenix or whatever. Like, hey, can we help sponsor that event or things like that? We've done quite a bit of that, and you know, we want to just kind of keep trucking on that. So
yeah, but just to follow up on that, none of those places you just mentioned are going to have teenagers at.
Phoenix does all ages shows.
Okay.
Yeah. So like we just did one there for Listener.
Okay.
So, Steve.
So I know that the name Neat started out as thoughts about a label.
Yeah.
Any current thoughts about maybe doing a label someday?
My daughter's record is coming out next month. So, yeah, and that would be on Neat Records. So, yeah. So, there you go.
You going to grow that?
It's a pain in the ass, man. Putting out records sucks.
To borrow his term, Angelized, are you educating the younger people how much more warmly the music?
You know, I do listening tests all the time with people. You know, I'll take their phone and I'll have a stream and then the CD and then an LP of the record and then have them all go through one receiver, and I can just flip back and forth, and you know, the difference is fairly apparent. You know.
Do they engage?
Yeah, a lot of people do. You know, a lot of people do, especially if they're hearing the differences between a CD and LP. Even the same master can sound different just by going through the physical process of this potential kinetic energy turning into you know, just some vibrations that have been impressed on a disc. So, sir.
So from your target marketing, what you're saying is that 35s to 54s or 64s don't buy physical.
No, they certainly do. They're a secondary market, but a lot of people, especially as you age a little bit higher, they are not buying, they're selling. They're selling their collections. They're on the back half of that. Not all the time. We certainly have lots of older customers, and a lot of those older customers, those are hardware customers, right? Because they can afford a $400 turntable or a $1,000 receiver or a $1,500 pair of speakers. So those are, you know, but we certainly do have a secondary market, which is that 35 to say 54. You know, once people get, you know, when you're in the 55 and up range, every so often maybe you go in and buy a record, but a lot of times you're looking to get rid of it because you're moving to Florida.
What percentage of your sales are online?
You know, we don't have our entire stock online. The stuff I put online is either stuff that's fairly common or it's things that are excruciatingly rare, and I have them merged both in my store and online. So, you know, as far as it's maybe 10 to 12%. It's not a huge number. It's not a huge number. Some months it's bigger, especially after Record Store Day. Kind of the goal of Record Store Day is to have no records left at the end of the day as far as Record Store Day titles, because a day-old Record Store Day title, it's kind of like a day-old muffin, you know, like maybe people, or day-old sushi rather. People might not want to touch it. So we throw a lot of that stuff online, and we'll sell that off very quickly over the course of a couple days. So we have a bigger bump there. But even in percentage to the in-store sales, you know, maybe 15% might be a top.
Okay, last question. What can we as the 1 Million Cups community do for you?
Man, that's a great question. And
besides buy records.
Besides buy records, right. You know, I'm open to hearing kind of some of your thoughts on that. I'm not one of those guys who really goes out there and asks for help a whole lot, which is why, you know, the first 3.5 years I worked in my store, I didn't have any staff. I worked open and close every single day. So, you know, and then it became apparent I kind of needed some help, so I had to go out there and do it. Ma'am?
I have a suggestion for you and for everybody in here is just start grooming our own kids to enjoy what
There you
we
go.
enjoy.
Bam! Right there. Right there.
You know, we do that all the time. My husband has a huge album collection, and we play them as often as we can.
Right.
Even though he's got all the gadgets and all the gizmos and 10,000 songs on whatever, high-tech piece of equipment.
The difference between listening to an album front to back and listening to how an artist wanted that piece of art to be consumed is very different.
I think if we just groom them, start educating.
That would be great.
All right. Well, let's get you your mug.
All right. Oh, there's that.
The wonderful
Thank
commemorative
you.
mug.
The commemorative
Get
mug.
your
The commemorative
mugshot.
photo op.
You can't leave.
There you go.
All right. Give it up for Morrison.
Thanks, guys.
All right. So I'm Bernadette for all you newcomers here. I'm so glad that you're here. And this is the portion of 1 Million Cups where we do a community question. I ask the question, we open it up to everyone in the room for their participation. So what truths or advice would you give today that you wouldn't have given 5 or 10 years ago? And how will that change in another 5 or 10 years? Great question. Oh, okay. Fantastic. Yeah.
Be humble, and it won't change in 5 or 10 years. It took me a long time to realize that. But be humble in everyone you with everyone you deal with who you are, and with what you're doing.
Thank you. Dave.
Talk to people. 10 years ago when I started a business, I did not talk to anybody. I hid in my basement. Literally, I was in my basement office and did not talk to people, and I would have been a lot better off if I would have been out talking. So just even if you don't need their help, just talk to them.
That's so sad, Dave.
Yeah, well, hey, it works out eventually. Yeah, right.
But be ready to be an entrepreneur, even if you never plan on being an entrepreneur. Which I wouldn't have thought of 5 years ago because at that time I hadn't been laid off yet.
Be ready to be laid off.
Well, it's like I think as many people as possible, if you're ready to step out of your employment, even if you don't want to, that way you always have leverage. You always have, even if you always want to just work for the man and work there, that's cool, that's great. But if you're able to step away if you need to, then you know that you can. It is just very, or if something happens and you end up, like you guys know, like standing outside with holding a box, then you know, okay, I can actually do something. I won't starve tomorrow. It's just very.
We'll starve the next day.
Oh yeah, it might take 2 months, but at least I don't panic right away. You can do something to make money on the side if you need to.
It's like Doomsday Prepper Entrepreneur Series. It's perfect. Thank you.
Just be ready.
Fantastic. Yeah, Randy.
Surround yourself with a trust management group. Because sometimes as entrepreneurs we're excited to jump into whatever it is. And those who will manage our trust quotient can keep us from mistakes. And that will never change for me.
Okay. Great. Yes, please.
I like the slogan that you see on top of the Associated Churches cards, community, and a lot of people are talking about unity in the community. And something that I have observed and that I see is like today we've heard a great presentation. But how many people look at that and say, well, I can do that. So they will go out and try and do the same thing rather than becoming a servant leader and making him more successful in what he's doing. So a lot of times as I look at my community, I see these fragmented, scattered pieces rather than coming together to make him successful. So that is something that I've learned as servant leadership.
That's really powerful. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes.
Never be afraid. Everything you've looked at that was something you didn't want to go and have to face, as you stand on the other side of it and look back, it really wasn't so bad. And the risk is well worth taking that chance.
Thank you.
Not just on yourself, but on other people too.
Indeed. Yes.
Identify and solve customer problems.
Great. Yes.
Whatever you think you can do or dream you can do, begin it now.
bumper sticker, T-shirt, something. I love it. I love it. I want it. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Steve. Yeah.
Dream big, start small.
Yes, please.
Be willing to give up the customers that cost you the most money.
Yeah.
Took me a while to figure that out.
Okay.
I would say no burn bridges. Like end everything you can, most professional, friendly you can.
What if you don't want to walk over those bridges again? I'm just kidding. Just throwing it out there.
Sometimes you just need to set the village on fire.
Parting of ways.
Thank you. We can talk afterwards. I need some counseling.
I'd be of service, and I think in 5 or 10 years you'll find you're in a pretty nice place with good people.
This is so good.
Ask for help. I was horrible at that too. Because there's a lot of people out there that think like Bill there that are willing to help.
Great. Josh.
Similar to John, but just nothing is permanent, so don't expect that your best client's going to be there next year. Learn that lesson the hard way.
Great. Who else?
Yeah.
All right. Great job. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, yeah.
All right. So we will spend a couple minutes if anybody has any announcements, any upcoming events. You're getting ready to hire, I don't know, 100 people, 10 people, 1 person. Atrium is going to be putting up some job postings pretty soon for part-time staff for the front desk. So keep an eye on that on the Start for Wine page. Go ahead.
Out of a Jam is doing its official launch party on July 30th at the City Exchange Shops from 2 to 6. Would love to have everybody come that wants to. And if anybody feels so inclined to maybe give us a donation for a silent auction, we would also love that. Thank you.
All right. Congratulations. Good.
I may need John Richards to help me on this one, but Monday at the Innovation Center from 11:30 to 1, there's going to be a young girl who's an upcoming recording artist that's going to be giving a sample of her music. Dennis Bennett is her promoter, but if anyone would like to try a new challenge, you come to the Innovation Center. It costs you $3 or 2 business cards, and you get to talk 2 minutes about who you are and what you do.
Cool.
I've posted something on the community page about this, but LinkedIn has this new feature called Pro Finder, and so if you are a freelancer of any sort, it's pretty cool. They vet you and then put you out there. So somebody will go on and say, I need a programmer, I need a consultant of some sort.
Yeah.
Then they'll match you up. And I was expecting at the end of it that there would be some massive fee, like congratulations, you won the contract, we're taking half. But it's actually very fair and very equitable. So check that out.
I have a Comfort Food Cafe in the Russo Center downtown, and we have an opening date for another location at Citizen Square, which will be September 6th.
Nice.
So I will be doing some hiring in the month of August, probably about 8 people.
Is that going to be down in the basement or the
It'll be in
bottom level?
basement,
Yeah. Cool. Good.
It'll be the permanent event.
Yeah, no, I've been there. It's good. Very good.
On Monday, the 18th, Bright Point is hosting a workshop at the Northeast Indiana Innovation Center from 6 to 8 p.m. The focus of the workshop is using social media to gain a sustainable competitive advantage in the marketplace. That is Monday, the 18th at 6 p.m. at the Northeast Indiana Innovation Center.
Featuring Cyclone Social.
Right.
Featuring Cyclone Social, that's correct.
So I have a question, Dave.
Yes.
Did the Atrium hire somebody?
Yeah, we hired somebody. Did you read the announcement? She's standing in the room, actually.
I know. That's why.
So that was another announcement too. I guess I should have led with that. Sorry, Bambi. Yeah, we hired our Atrium Star for Women, our very first hire, which is Bambi Guthrie standing back there. She is our Atrium community manager, which means she's going to be running everything Atrium. She's going to be helping us out with pretty much everything as far as policies, procedures, figuring out. Pretty much everything with Atrium she's involved in. So, and she's going to be helping us out with the hiring. So, if you're interested in a part-time position, you need to be talking to her, not me. Speaking of the 18th, Cook Spring is having a similar sort of gathering to this called the Cook Spring Catch-Up, and like ketchup, like the condiment, for Cook Spring members, but for the general public to talk about entrepreneurship and food. And they've got a whole whiz-bang sort of stuff. I think Bo Gonzalez is going to be there. I don't know if he's speaking or if he's just going to be there. Afine's going to be there. Oh, you're going to be speaking too, right?
Evidently.
Okay, why don't you say something about it then?
Well, I guess I got to put together the presentation I'll be doing. But yeah, this is, if you remember, Miles was here talking about Cook Spring. This is just an event for anyone who's involved in like selling food, preparing and selling food. And it's going to be in the morning, Monday morning. I believe it starts at 9.
Yep.
I guess I should make sure I have that.
It is 9 a.m. on Monday morning, the 18th.
Right, and it's going to be down at the Summit, which is, is on Rudisill. It's the former Taylor campus, the Bible school campus. And so if you're interested in that and you don't know anything about, well, you can talk to me and I'll get you information. But
Right.
it should be good, even just like this, except smaller focus.
And it's going to be, it's basically this for food, and it's going to be monthly, they said. And they purposely decided not to do it on Wednesday just for us. So we appreciate that.
So Ben, you're doing a tap takeover at
Right.
Petal City, right?
Oh yeah. Bird Boy Brewing will be doing a tap takeover at Petal City August 5th. It's a Friday, 3 weeks from now.
Cool. Awesome.
Are all these events on Atrium's website? Or they
Nope, not yet. We need to work on that and getting them into some place that's actually, I mean, people are welcome to go post them on the Start Fort Wayne Communities page. That's what that's for.
Visit Fort Wayne has a great hub of event activity,
Mhm.
and we're participating in that with downtown events. So don't hesitate to go to Visit Fort Wayne or downtownfortwayne.com and submit your event and utilize the event calendar. This hub and spoke scenario is really starting to catch on, and it'll be it's really becoming quite a robust area to find.
Are they only putting downtown stuff, or are they going to put stuff for all of the whole city?
Visit will have of interest events that are primarily interested to tourists.
Okay.
Our events for downtown in the district and some adjacent is for virtually anything that people want to do.
Okay.
So.
Cool. All right. Next week, we're going to have Marna Renteria from Autolingo will be here. Until then, you can go to the 1millioncups.com/Fort Wayne to apply. Please go and apply to present. We need more speakers. We are trying to get a good 6 weeks in there of speakers ahead of us. And you can also go to entrepreneurship.org at Kauffman's site to go read about all sorts of entrepreneurship stuff. Did anybody do the homework last week and go there? One person. Do better. 2 people. Do better. Go there and go watch some of the videos. They put together this program. It's a lot of good stuff. So once again, today, don't network in here. Go straight out the doors. And thank you. Have a good Wednesday. Have a good week.